program. It is a program jointly organized by Conservation Center and Shri Konda Lakshmani University, State Horticulture University, Hyderabad. So, in this, we will cover 25 plus modules related to agriculture and agripreneurship. The stakeholders, participants of this program are students, scientists, working professionals, farmers, and industry persons. So, in this program, we will discuss in detail of these topics: drone technology, hydroponics and greenhouse technology, mushroom cultivation, saffron farming, corn farming, dry flower processing. So I welcome you all without taking much of your time. So I welcome our esteemed guest, Dr. Syed Ismail. So I would like to introduce him with the participants. So he is an agricultural engineer in the management professional working in embedded electronics related to agriculture, automobile, automation, process, control industries for the last 40 years. And he holds PhD in engineering as academic qualification with unparalleled experience of various industries and academia. So actively he is involved in promoting automation and control systems in Indian agriculture for climate reliance and sustainable farming. And if we talk about his current position, he is the Secretary General, Asian Association for the Agriculture Engineering, and he is also the consultant, Nabar Consultancy Service, Mumbai. So, if we talk about his activities, he had an article on agriculture engineers, challenges and opportunities in and entrepreneurship. And he is also the chief guest on this Silver Jubilee celebration, College of Agriculture, Engineering and Technology, Tapoli. And he is also the expert and panelist in brainstorming workshop on researchable issues for sustainable. So, I welcome you here, sir.
You. I hope you can all hear me.
Yes, sir.
So we are going to we know about agricultural mechanization. When we hear that, we always think of a tractor because most of us know only tractors in the farms. But when you see as agricultural mechanization, the milk you drink, that also is one of the agricultural mechanization. Some of the snacks you eat, they are also come from. All the food industry also is mechanized. Whereas in Indian farms, you don't find much of mechanization. For example, how many of you have seen in poultry? How many of you seen in the fish industry? Or even, for example, the cotton or sugarcane cultivation? How many machineries have you seen? But compared to the Western countries, which for the last 30, 40 years, they are well advanced in mechanization of the farm operations because they got hardly about 4 or 5% of the people or even less available to work in the farm. Whereas India today also we have almost 40, more than 40%, up to 50% of the people are dependent on agriculture. Now, I'm going to today tell you a brief about what are the opportunities in mechanization, what is the current status, and what is required to be done. So now as you see it, it's a farm mechanization. This is status as of 2022. India is supposed to be 46%, China around 60%, Brazil 78%. But you see, Brazil has achieved this in the last 25 years, 15 to 25 years. Actually, like I told you, when we say mechanization in the farm, we always think of tractors or human being working or animals as well as farms. So we see first how much energy is utilized in the farm. In 1960-61, we have 0.28 kilowatt per hectare. Kilowatt, if you want to know about kilowatt hour, is 1 unit electricity bill. So 0.28 kilowatt is the capacity it can use for every hour, whereas it is increased more than 10 times in 2020-21. Now, when you look at the next criteria we need, we think we use mechanization, we'll increase the cropping intensity. Cropping intensity means one crop if you grow for that area, that is 100%. If you do two crops in a year, that is 200%. So if you see the cropping intensity has not changed very much because cropping intensity and mechanization doesn't have relation because it depends on the availability of water mainly and the inputs for the soil. Soil, India has one of the largest agricultural areas. Those who don't know, we have the largest agriculture cropped area in the world. Our productivity is less. That is another topic we will see. But cropping intensity, we can increase only if we have more irrigation systems. Now, let's see the third word part is, suppose we have so much area we are growing crop, that's not increased much. But how would the machinery, what you call tractors? You see, in 1960, we had 3,600. One tractor will have 3,600 hectares. But in 2011, we already have for 34 hectares one tractor. So you see, from 2011, when you see 2022, it's not much change compared to how it was from 60. So probably because to buy a tractor, also farmers need money. So probably people guess probably it'll be about 10-hectare land, you will need one tractor. So we will still produce the same amount of tractors, but not significantly higher. Now we look at the productivity. That means how much crop is produced tons per hectare. You see, that has increased per hectare because of the power we increased. So productivity increases when you use the power. But till now, when we see the power has been used only for certain operations of the farm operation. For example, you see what is the composition of power used in the mechanization in the farm is the mechanical power. Then you have tractors and power tillers, consists of electrical power, animate power. You see, the animate means animals as well as humans. Okay. This has reduced from 90% to 6% from 1960 to 2020. Today, there's also people don't want to go for farm labors or expensive, especially for operation like sugarcane harvesting or cotton picking. Those of you know already, this is the biggest serious problem. We don't have labor want to come. Even though 40% people are in agriculture dependent, still nobody wants to come and work on farms because of the incomes are less. Now you see the farm workers, power tillers, tractors. These are different segments which are the source of farm power. With all these things, I think it's only clear that the tractors, the move what we have seen till 2010, it's no more going to be only tractors. Because those who are in the field now in the recent 4 or 5 years, you might have seen a lot of small tools are used in agriculture. And many of them you'll find, of course, Chinese make, imported, most of, because all the small equipments, everything from China, a lot of them imported. And unfortunately, still the subsidies are available for the Chinese importer also. We come back to now the mechanization, what is the requirements are required. You see, why people want to mechanize, okay? Why you will mechanize? Only if it saves the money for you or your drudgery is reduced. These are only two priorities. criteria. You will not do that because somebody told you to. You will not spend your money, especially farmers will not. So what is required right now? Uh, I think some of you might have heard already. Soil health is very much is an issue now. Soil health is really poor because we have been doing monoculture cropping. That means wheat, paddy. That's all. Like you see in Maharashtra, before used to be so many crops like sunflower used to have, groundnut used to have. Now you have only soybean and cotton. So this is the problem of soil health. For that, there are techniques available which are tested in India for more than 10 years. But machinery still is not available to the small farmers. We all know the small farmers more than 80%. Whatever. Chemical usage is very high. Now, a lot of people blame game we play. Who is at the fault? Farmers or the manufacturers or the government. However, we use a lot of fertilizers, chemical, lot of fertilizers. We all realize this, and many parts of South are going to natural farming now. I think significant, not most, because significant start is their last 5, 10 years. And the trend is because of the public want to eat chemical less food. So still you don't have in the automation enough of the like the chemical, less chemical using equipment, machinery. This is not there. We don't have even precision farming systems like in the US or in Europe. You can see a lot of videos available in US, Europe, how they do it. Sometimes even in China, some parts now, but in India, they are still not available. Next is we have another problem of farmer requirement they need is losses. Okay. Now, this is how much you harvest, how much it goes to the table. It's very interesting. Like in India, we have lot of wastages till table, it reaches table. For example, fruits and vegetables, you have probably 40, 50, sometimes even 70%. And people always calculate the losses, the scientists or the institutes calculate only from the field gets out. But it's not true. Storage place is another problem. We have heavy losses of grain, everything 30, 40% in the storage place. So we lose maximum, let me see, approximately 30, 40%. So this is arguable, but somewhere from 20 to 80%. We are losing the agricultural produce what we are making and before it comes to the table. Whereas this is opposite in developed countries. From the table to spoon, there is a loss. That means they trash a lot of food while eating or whatever remains. But you see, the losses are 30% reduced. So whatever you claim with the chemical usage, you get more benefit. This can be offset easily. So, but there are no machineries available. There's no mechanization available for loss reduction. Next is the efficient water usage. How many of you know 90% of the available water is used in agriculture in India? It used to be 80% before 10 years. Now also scientists claim between 80 to 90%, but still it's very bad. Whereas 50% is in the US. Why? Now, some of you will say, I have seen drip irrigation, I have seen sprinkler irrigation. Yes, very less, very small area. For example, the rice cultivation, there are techniques we have like AWD, alternate wetting and drying, which can reduce 30% of water. It's in the research stage only. It's not really gone to the field. Somewhere something is missing, and there's a huge demand for irrigation. Like recently this week, I think one more canal is coming in Punjab, lot of hue and cray. But the water usage in Punjab also very high. And groundwater depletion is very, very high. Probably in 10 years, we won't have any more water. I think you seriously must think about it. This is the requires the mechanization. These two things, water and chemicals. Now, water cup people claim that they don't pay electricity bill. Like in Punjab, the electrification, solar pumps, morning starts pumping at 6, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, whenever the sun comes. till evening fire. It's only depleting the whole groundwater. This was happening before 5 years. So there are a lot of representation to make that, to reduce these effects. The people without knowledge, they're pumping out thinking water is available. Next area, we find the machinery for animals, poultry, fishery, almost the, bottommost place we have, so which are automated almost in most of the developed countries. Now, all these things, what I'm telling is because India is producing already enough food. Actually, if you see the historically last 10 years, 5 years back, we used to produce 30% more of sugar every year and also similar amount of cereals. Plus, we waste almost whatever argument say 30, 40% we waste also. So more than 50% of what we are actually producing, we are throwing it away ultimately. So, and even meat, poultry, fish, we produce more than enough for us. Fruits and vegetables, we produce more than sufficient, but it doesn't reach the poor. So we have the nutritional problem imbalance because the fruits are expensive, because they get wasted. There is no storage. We don't have proper storage facilities or distribution. And even our growing of crops has been changed now because actually certain soil is only like certain type of plants. You can't force it. It's like your capacity. Like some students want to be an artist, some students want to be a scientist, some students want to be, let's say, in mathematics or whatever different fields they want. You can't force them. Similar thing happens in the soil also. So you can't, you have to see the naturally what crop is suitable for that soil to keep it, and then you have to grow. And that you already see in the previous history of 50, 60 years back. They are all actually in cluster based. You will know, for example, only certain areas the mango is grown, certain areas only banana is grown. So it's very easy to make storage and transport facilities, everything. But we made all monocropping, so that becomes a big problem now. So we have to think about again machineries, how to make it. And recently, last 2 years, I think clustered approaches even supported by the Horticulture Foundation. But I think the knowledge gap between the academia as well as the students as well as all are very less in this area because the interaction between farmers are very less. You yourself think, when was your last time you talked to a real farmer? Many students used to tell me, I am from a farming family. I ask them, when did you talk to your neighbor? When did you talk to your really the farmer? Coming from the family is not enough to understand. I think that is will show the real mechanization required. And the NRM means, the actually NRM is the only thing what required to make funds and soil reclamation, agroforestry. This is the natural techniques which are used for the very less machinery we have. Rather, we don't have anything. Like what machinery you have for agroforestry for bamboo planting, for example, if you ask, there is none available. So the requirements are plenty in that. So if you work on this, the farmers will take up. If they say there is a revenue for them, there is loss saving or less chemical usage, inputs cost, then they will take it for sure. The areas for developments, which are there now, when you see it, now tractors will remain still. Now the question is, when you see some videos, you see very huge tractors, 200 horsepower, 400 horsepower, especially in Germany or even Australia and US, you find very huge tractors. There are huge farms, hundreds and hundreds of hectares now. Whereas in India, it's a very small farm. We are talking about 2 acres, 5 acres. Let's take about 5 acres, 2 acres, 1 acre is also very significant. Now the Europe, as well as some parts of US, they are thinking of using one heavy machinery because the heavy machines have a soil compaction problem. So they want to make multiple small machines and make them work in tandem. Okay. You also have the self-propelled machines tractors for a long time, more than 15 years now in US. Case, for example, makes the tractors which are autonomous tractors. And there are tractors available in India. Some of the manufacturers have it ready, but they cannot put in the field because there is no requirement here. But you see, small tractors, small ones, probably, I don't know, probably 12 horsepower, 15 hours, less than that. Multiple of them working. Now, let us see tractors. What for they use tractors in a field? Tell me. Let us see. That's interesting to see. We talk about machinery. What for it is used? That is the question farmer will ask. Most of the farmers use it for prestige right now. Okay, but 50% of the utility of the tractors is in transport. Tractor is not the best transporting equipment. Okay, it is not a prime mover, best prime mover for transport. It is inefficient compared to many other transport vehicles. But tractors used because we don't have rural roads in many parts. Rest is where tractors used only for plowing. You must have seen plows and tillage disturbing the soil. And 60 years people know already disturbing soil is not increasing the yield. But still people are doing it. That's the reason you get a concept of no-till nations nowadays. You see zero tillage, people talk. Zero tillage not possible because somewhere you have to make a hole to put a seed. So let's talk about minimal tillage. So tillage is not required. Frankly speaking, we have damaged in our uh, paddy field probably about 40 to 50% of the hard pan. Hard pan is the soil underneath. It becomes hard, so water will be held for the paddy field. They are broken in India. It's a big issue. So I think it is we have to see. Next is used for the tractors or used for weeding machinery to remove the weed. This is a problem. First is the preparation of seed bed where you can plant your crop. Next is when the crop grows, you want to see the weeds, which are unwanted plants coming inside. You want to remove them. At the end of it, you want to harvest. So only for these three purposes, you are using the tractor, which tractor usage is probably not more than 60, 80, 90 days for the whole year. So utilization of tractors also less. We'll come back to this topic, how to address this. Now, drones and robots are very popular today. We'll see it after a few minutes. Robots are not popular. Drones are getting popular, so-called. I won't say popular. Drones are being tested now and getting excited, receiving a lot of hype. Let us see that. Afterwards, we'll see in slides. Now, tillers, cultivated weeders are a must. See, people have weedicides. You you actually put a weedicide so that weeds will not grow. That's chemical. You must have heard about weedicides are very bad for the health also. And people have stopped. For example, I know Roundup, which is used in banana. I saw before 4 years itself in Baroda, whole area, the farmers stopped using Roundup. Farmers themselves. I mean, even though now it's weedicides are given limited way from the government. The biggest problem, there are 3, 4 companies only manufacture those stuff, okay, internationally. And there are 3, 4 seed companies only also there. They control the whole thing. I think if you really see that, frankly, that's the reason there are recently a lot of movement for local storage to use or local seeds to use, as well as local menus if possible to use. Now, we don't have enough seed drills and planters. We have them, but we don't have precision type. Precision type is not there. It's only in research institute somewhere you will see rarely, but they are not practically there because of the cost and the areas less. We agree the cost is there. But how to come through that? It has to be made small, affordable. We'll come back to one more of the next slide. We'll see how to solve the problem of the cost of the equipment and affordability of the farmers. Next one is irrigation machinery. We have only pumps, water pumps. But how many of you know the efficiency of the water pump? Very, very less. There is no attempt really made on making high efficient because irrigation electricity power consumption is significant. So we don't care about it till now. We have to work on it. Soil and water conservation machinery, you won't find anything because I will tell afterwards, we work on silos. If a person works on soil and water, he will not talk about machinery. And who works in agronomy, he will talk about only soil. He will not know about machinery. And a machinery guy will not know about the insecticides. Even he will not know about the what is Vareza sativa means. I told you for paddy, the botanical name. So how many of you know zoological name, botanical name, engineers? Because you don't want to do that. And that is the problem we are having. We have to change that. Because today knowledge we have to know about all the subjects a bit so that you can be efficient in your field. Conservation agriculture, it is very important. I will explain in 3 lines conservation agriculture. First is there is no need for disturbing the soil too much. If there is a nematode in your soil, once in 5 years, maybe you have to turn the soil up and down. Otherwise, soil need not be tilled. No plowing required in the soil. Nowhere a proof if research or anything shows that tillage is a must, it will increase the productivity. That's the number one. Number two, you should not leave the land barren, open to the sky, or open to the sun. What happens? The sunlight is so intense, it does a lot of changes to the soil. You must have some green cover on it. Something you grow. Normal grass you grow. Because grass afterwards, even if you don't use it, it goes into the soil, it becomes a manure. So you have to don't keep any of the land open. You must grow something green. You must keep it green. Third one is always rotate the crop. You must rotate the crop. And people argue with me sometimes, even some farmers. Oh, I put cotton next season, soybean in Maharashtra. And if you go to Punjab, they will say sugar cane I put, and next season I put paddy or I put wheat and paddy. That is not rotation. You go back 40, 50 years and see how the rotation was happening, how the crops are grown. Because when you rotate only, some plants actually absorb the nutrients required and keep it there in the soil. Other crops use them. For example, nitrogen fixation, you must have read, I don't know whether you know nitrogen fixation done by some root plants, not all the plants. So soil health will improve only when you do crop rotation. This is called conservation agriculture. Only these three. There's nothing much to be done. This we are doing already. But this to be practiced. And for this, equipments are required. Because I want to grow different multiple crops, for example. I cannot buy equipment for each crop. It's too expensive for me. How will I have equipment that can cater to multiple crops? This is the issue. We come back to post-harvest machines, and we have enough of harvesters, we think, but unfortunately, for example, even in UP, where sugarcane is grown, it's not harvested. It's only manually harvested. I have seen, I traveled throughout it to see the sugarcane harvesting mechanization. There's very, very negligible. Very negligible. You see the number of machines, you can count them almost. So it's a very tedious process. And sugarcane cultivation has a lot of operations, platooning. I think those, if you don't know the crop, each crop has a lot of operations, starting from planting. Sugarcane has a lot of latest planting techniques. 20%, I think we are adopting the new technologies now. But then enough equipments are not there. Then fiber crops, jute, for example, there is no mechanization. Horticulture machinery that comes to harvesting of fruits, vegetables, we lack. Fortunately, India is producing a lot of horticultural crops, but we don't have machinery. That will reduce the wastage, what we are having in horticulture crops. Controlled environment agriculture is a polyhouses, which we know already government supported a lot of polyhouses. Unfortunately, it was copycat. One state it was tried and tried to replicate in other states without knowledge that the crop will grow based on the climate, based on the soil, based on a lot of parameters in that particular location. That changes every 5 kilometers or 2 kilometers. So you can't force it to change. So, for example, near Nagpur, if you have 500 of uh, this poly houses, or near Hyderabad, you are having poly houses, 500. The temperature goes up to 50, 52 degrees. How can a crop will survive? But even today, the poly houses tried throughout India, they don't have any system of climate control, cheaper one, which is affordable by the farmers. Storage logistics almost is logistics trying to pick up slightly, but only on let us say farm gate collection slightly started in some part near cities, but storage is still really a big issue because there's big fight, different agencies involved, and nobody coordinates. Now storage for grains are different, but storage of vegetables and fruits are different. So it must be, like I told, cluster wise. We must plan the storage and promote the farmers to grow to certain crops. So easy to handle those crops in that locality. Livestock, poultry, fisheries, I already told already. Farm energy, already there is solar and different types of bioenergy, whatever is coming now. Now again from the biofuel, biodiesel, stuff like that. I think we'll not touch our detail in this. Biotechnology also now growing. Lot of equipments and machinery are used, which of course no Indian players are very less. Now policies, I'll make one line. Today you have a lot of policies. You try to support new technology coming inside to the farmers, like I told you, a polyhouse, or like for example, even today the drone. Agree, it's good, but think about you give subsidy on the equipment. So if I buy an equipment, subsidy is given to buy it. Sometimes even 80, 90%. Yeah. Based on whatever case from 30 to 90. But how will I maintain that machinery? Or you want to upgrade the machinery? There is no subsidy. And you see tractors only when the rich farmers can buy. The small farmers cannot even spend 1 lakh rupees to buy it. So we have now, actually, you have so-called rental basis to get equipment. Do you know, interestingly, without even government movement, there are more than 40% of the farmers already rent their equipment from neighbors, everything else. It's already happening in India, according to statistics. But we have uh, the what you have movements with the government to support custom hiring centers, to promote youngsters to start custom hiring centers, give them some funds, everything. They are not very successful, but it's a good attempt because we have problem of servicing everything. They are going through its own teaching problem. This can be solved only by that. The first one I written, subsidy on services. For example, you give anything you want to promote, give for the service rendered by somebody the support to the farmer. So the guy who provides services can manage, maintain everything. Because you see, most of the services provided are for a short time. A farmer cannot buy. A spraying machine he buys, how many days he will use it? A sprayer he buys. So this is a subsidy on service to be given. That is easily told than implemented. We know we have been working on the thinking of that. I'm thinking for some time on this, the team of people. But then a solution has to be found to subsidy should be given on service. That will help. And the second one is to promote the agricultural technology, local equipment providers. I told you, I mentioned you, uh, the subsidy should not be given to any imported equipment from China and everything, only for India. Then only it's difficult. Otherwise, Indian small equipment manufacturer in agriculture can never come up. Now, current challenges we'll see now for the farmers. We all know less farm income. I every time I tell the sub rule, maybe 2,500 rupees per acre per month. You take a thumb rule from 1,500 to somewhere about 4,500. That's all the income for a farmer. Compare this to a bureaucrat or a professor who gets 2.5 lakhs salary a month. That's almost 100 acres of land. Now, chemical spraying. How many of you know hardly 2, 3, 4% of the chemicals you spray is useful? That it goes to the plant or the insect. The rest of them go to the soil water, and the environment. And we don't work on much on how to improve this efficiency. Example I'm telling, for example, laser guided spraying or even CN spray systems, they are very good. They can save up to 50% of the chemicals. Heavy water application, environment pollution we have, the real problem. Monocropping is a problem. Soil health deficiency we know already. Too much of wastage we have, I already told. High cost of farm labor. I have seen last season uh, some few farms I've seen in cotton, the farmers don't pick up. It was too expensive for them to hire the labor. So they let it just in the field one. Now, actually, the insufficient advisory is there under production because if I known I won't get the price for the onion, I won't put the onion. I will not put the onion. This is a, a issue of knowledge transfer, exchange between farmers to know what others are doing. Anyway, this is in the anvil now. Probably it will come. We come to. I will just add for another 5 7 minutes about the emerging technologies buzzwords. You must have seen about drones. You heard artificial intelligence, chat GPT, whatever you hear, machine learning, big data. You hear blockchain, Internet of Things, and also internet and computer technologies. All these things they are only tools. They are not solutions. So don't think uh, AI will come and give more produce. It will not. Now, these have applicability and limitations. That is how much time it takes, what is the effect, and what is the cost of it. Based on that only this will be adopted. It will be adopted because new technology. Current agricultural challenges it must address. Why the technology is being thought about? The first case. The farmer's income is too less. So they are looking for out-of-box solution how to make it more. Okay. That's one reason technology thinks, farmer will get more money. Another part is why this technology has pushed so much is IT sector, saturated manufacturing, banking. So we look for agriculture. Actually, when you see technology, you should not mistake these new emerging technologies than the already precision agriculture, mechanized agriculture, which is already for 40 years in the Western. They are different. I am meaning here only those technologies right now which are hype coming. More population in agriculture. Still, you don't get a labor because nobody wants to work. And actually, the researches we produce, we don't produce enough because we don't have the farming reality. How many researchers have been in the field of 1 month, 2 months in a year? And government control agriculture market, which I'll not discuss, it's also one of the issues. Lack of mechanization. Now we see two things are hype. Any new technology comes, people think immediately, everybody will go on thinking this particular technology will do very well, very well. So peak of inflated expectation they gain. After some time, they come through, I failed in all that terms. This is useless. I found this negative point. Then they start thinking, afterwards, slowly, they start thinking enlightenment. This probably takes about 10 years. Some of the technology triggers, some of the technology maybe shorter time. For example, drone. I don't know. Can you anybody's guess it is when it will be used by, let's say, 40% of farmers or 30% of farmers in India. So that is the what this enlightenment scope. Will it reach ever or will it stop in between? So in that, we come to two strategies are used. Push strategy, pull strategy. Pull strategy means what you need it. The farmer needs pull strategy means if you tell him, you will use 50% chemicals only, so you can save on the chemical cost, he will buy the technology. That is a pull. But you go tell farmer, I will tell you where you have to approximately spray, maybe whatever it is. I'll give you some app that will show you. Farmer will not buy that unless he find the benefit out of it. So the benefit has to come from push technology. If benefit is not seen, he will not buy. It's like buying, for example, everybody wants a cell phone, correct? So they want to speak, farmer also will buy. But he will not buy a phone costing 1.5 lakhs. Whereas an IT student or you student, some of you have 1.5 lakhs because it's for you a proud feeling of having a cell phone with four cameras. But farmer will ask, what is the use of? So this is what the pull and push. So you be careful. When you use a pull strategy in agriculture, it will succeed. When you use a push strategy, you may fail. Now, blockchain means actually it is distributed databases. That's all. So where it can be used, wherever database is there, for example, inventory, product distribution. So don't think blockchain will come and increase the productivity of the farmer directly. Machine learning, yes, very interesting topic. You must go for this AI machine learning. You must read very easy. Who knows mathematics? It's the easiest one because it's all error function. Very simple to understand the neural networks. Very simple. Actually, I'm not joking. Very simple. You can listen half an hour about neural network. You will understand. Don't understand? Listen three times the same. Lot of available videos available on the YouTube, and you will understand. This is good. For example, to sort out the fruits, vegetables, all the stuff, to find the defective parts and all this is very easy. Nowadays, technology is available. But to go for nutrient, how much apply where, it's if we don't have a database. This technology will not work unless you have huge database. And remember, all the data is you have to look at the privacy information. So some of the few companies from Western companies coming into jumping into Indian agriculture to collect the data instead of US or other agriculture, we have to watch out carefully. Because the farming data, whatever you get, they are proprietary of the country as well as the farmers. So that has to be taken care of. Big data means storing a very large data. The big data is required for this machine learning. So, for example, videos, uh, photographs, photographs of insects, photograph of plants with insects. These are all the big data. IoT is a basic, which actually you go to connect sensors to transmit the information from the agriculture is a vast area. You can use many type of sensors. Actuators is like a valve to open the actuator to turn on and turn off. So all these things requires to be is easier to understand. Still, unfortunately, we are trying for about maybe 10 years for IoT in India agriculture. You don't see even one in a million part of farmers can use it right now. So there is a still a lot of trust is required, understanding required where it can be used. Drones, right now the government pushed. Now, many of the Western countries still don't use drones to spray their chemicals. But it was maybe a concept taken, small farmers will use drones, but they are expensive. You will find it automatically because in last 5 years, 6 years, government is pushing through. But the farmers alone buying, rich farmers can afford to buy one or two, as usual with the tractors too. But normal farmers, 20%, 30% of farmers buying drones will be a problem because chemicals to spray it, it needs a canopy. That means the plant must be grown to spray it. You cannot spray with the beginning stages because all the chemicals will go to again to soil one day. And there are a lot of work to be done in uh, drones, actually research still to reduce the wastage and still be able to look at the environmental effect of it. This is what's IoT. I will not go to this detail. There are many areas you can go for IoT first. This is the first step in technology. Then only comes. If you don't understand how to sense or how to control certain things, you will not be able to make an algorithm or AI for it. Now, some of the things I will tell you for entrepreneurship. What is the area for? It's not only for engineers. I'm talking about generally entrepreneurship. Wherever automated water fertigation, applying fertilizer, because farmers can save the fertilizer money. For example, I'll tell you in banana, they put probably once in a month the fertilizer, the top. How much of it washed away? How much really reaches the root? But they cannot because most of the places the electricity comes in the night and the irrigation is done in the night time. So the farmers cannot go to the field. And you don't have the with water to send the fertilizers a cheaper solution. That's a big market. Controlled environment agriculture is the polyhouses. One simple example, I told there are many types of them. And there again, something even recommendation of which type of crop to be grown. and what type of small tools required to maintain climate not existing. Many of the some of the places I have seen at noon, the temperature really goes high, up to 40 degrees. And of course, the most of them have a sprinkler already when the temperature goes up, but power is not. So somebody has to think of one small UPS. Probably it needs power for only 20 minutes, 15 minutes to pull down. So they are not, that is the reason the polyhouses fail, because small things we have to observe and then we have to. Logistics system, packing, storing, huge potential. Weeding harvesting tools are not there. Like I told you, cotton, still weeding is done manually only. Soybean also done manually. Harvesting also done manually. So there's a big potential when you come with equipment. There are many companies wanted cotton if you want to work on harvester. We have issues with the cotton. Even we have different types of cotton we use. We'll talk different plants. But I think there's a huge potential here to look at. Horticulture crops huge, and plant advisory in the technology is very good entrepreneurship. There's nothing wrong in it that you will find what crop to grow. Well, plant advisory, weather advisory, these are long term. These are only for big companies which can just offer it as a service. And it cannot be a startup company which to make money. This can't really be big, very difficult. Education, this is my last slide. The biggest problem we face, because why we are not mechanized, why we are not taught about, is we work in silos. Like I told you, an agronomist works on his own, entomologist works on his own, an engineer works on his own. You will find that drastically in the universities also. You visit any university, you will find it a real problem. They don't work together. So they don't have interdisciplinary teaching or research. This has to be done. So I give solution to students. How I did was from beginning. Anyway, we had 52 subjects in BE. That's different. We are old timers. We studied all the subjects. But afterwards, also many subjects, like I think beginning towards I work in electronics. All the things I read, daily I read, because you have to update your knowledge. You want to you want to be in touch with what is happening, or you want to be helpful, then you have to spend your time to learn. Now, employment. I always ask when I visit in college, how many of you want to do business? Not even one hand is raised in 300 to 500. That is sad in agriculture education. Nobody wants to do business. They really want a government. Because the reason is they don't have skills for industry. Or very less people told me I want to do farming as a business. Hardly one or two in my of 1,000 students I have. This is something has to be taught by yourself. What is the use of being a government employee whole life? I think they're much more interested in this when you come to look at the other options. This comes because lack of interaction with farmers. You see, a medical doctor does not know patients, does not know human being, cannot be a doctor. But we produce agricultural graduates without even meeting farmers. Think how many months you have spent with farmers in 4 years before you get agriculture degree. That will answer you straight away whether you will go to such a doctor. So this has to be changed. Again, the students can do on their own. Uh, Take the attempts to nearby farms to visit, listen to the farmers, then start advising first. Listen to them, their problems. Then only you're there to find solutions. You see, Indian research, agriculture research, more than 80% is funded only by government. Whereas it's opposite in China and US. Private industry don't fund because the institutions don't go to private industry or do their job. Institutions do their own job. Seldom they look at the farmers' needs also or look at the industry. Industry is in touch with the farmers, not with the industry. This has to change. Like in developed economy, we have to change. Because one more thing academia has problem is what paper you publish and what patents you need. Reality is patents don't help you, excepting your copyright. Only your production, what you bring out, that helps. You can see thousands of patents lying idle in SCR or anywhere else, any research institutes. It's a sad because the patent has no value because farmer will not buy that because it's not affordable for him, it's not sustainable. Another last issue is the teachers are localized, which means all the teachers, what we are talking about is there's many of the institutes, they study there, PhD there, teach there, and die there. I mean, very less exchange between the different. I think this has to be taken into task. Thank you very much. I think I will stop sharing now, and probably if you have any questions, I may be able to try to reply.
Okay, sir. Before concluding the sessions, we will have some interaction time with the participants. So we will open the chat box. So if they have any queries, any questions, they can drop down in the comment box.
No, no questions till now. The chat box.